We just got done playing Arc Raiders, an upcoming PvEVP multiplayer extraction third person shooter. It's a game that's been on our radar since it was first revealed back in 2021, and since then, a lot has changed. After around 10 hours playing the game, chatting up the devs, and taking the fight to other creators, we think this game has some potential. My name is Kodiak, this is Legacy Gaming, and here's what we think about Embark Studios' upcoming game, Arc Raiders. We're always a little skeptical when a game completely changes course mid-development, but whether it's a looter shooter or the game's new focus as an extraction shooter, we jumped at the chance to check it out ourselves and bring you some of our first impressions. Part of the appeal of the game is its premise, because it could have some long-term implications for where this game could go. Arc Raiders is set in the distant future. Humanity has since colonized space due to Earth's resource scarcity, but the surface of Earth, now devoid of nearly all resources, is littered with the ruins and remnants of civilization. Human activity on the surface is almost non-existent, as it's now controlled by the ruthless machines of Arc, a mysterious mechanized threat that won't hesitate to gun you down. They threaten any semblance of possible resettlement, which has forced humanity to seek shelter below ground in mega colonies like this one here, Speranza. The overall gameplay loop revolves around being sent up to different locations on the surface and these sort of 20 to 30 minute expeditions. You'll have both dedicated quests to complete and a general need to scavenge the most valuable resources you can find from both the environment and the various threats you encounter, both machine and human alike. If you die while on the surface, you lose everything, weapon loadouts and all, but if you successfully extract back to Speranza, you'll be able to use the items you find on the surface to complete special quests, craft better gear, and upgrade your workshop. From a gameplay perspective, both Livid and myself kept saying that this genuinely felt like a cross between the snappy, responsive third-person combat of The Division and stealthy, full loot extraction loop of Escape from Tarkov. Weapon variety is certainly there, even at the extreme early stages of progression, and you'll encounter a whole host of gadgets and consumables that'll help you depending on your current goal, ranging from things like heavy grenades all the way up to zip lines. Honestly, that all feels really good to us, but believe me when I say this game is much more about strategic planning, stealth, and tactical combat over having sheer firepower. There are times when firepower does matter, and we'll get to that, but if you're hoping the game is all gas, no brakes, a high-octane third-person PvP-only shooter, you might want to recalibrate. The stakes while on the surface feel very real, and you're constantly on edge because at any time a pack of Arc robots or another set of players could jump you. I think it's really important to call out the balance between the two, PvE and PvP, because it does feel good. Running into hostile players will always be an adrenaline-pumping exchange of fire, but what we were really concerned about going into the game was how competent the PvE enemies, and particularly the enemy AI, would be. There's nothing worse in a PvEVP game where the PvE side of things feels like an afterthought, but let me tell you, the Arc machines are a constant threat you need to worry about. Spotter drones are constantly on the lookout for player activity, tuned into the smallest bit of noise. If they get a lock on you and you don't dispatch them quickly enough, you'll soon have wasps and hornets rapidly heading your direction, often dropping in straight from orbit. Let this escalate too much and you'll soon have every bot and player alike in an area swarming you. You might think avoiding these spotter drones is easy, but you'll quickly find out that some of the best loot is hidden behind doors and containers that need to be breached. This can take anywhere from a few seconds to much longer, and the entire time you're making noise that other players, and importantly, Arc machines can hear. For this reason, you have to be deliberate in your actions. Do you go straight for the loot and hope to get it before the machines get to your position, or do you attempt to quickly eliminate any nearby machines and risk other players hearing your gunshots? This gets even more complicated when teams clash. Both parties want what the other has, but not only is your skirmish going to draw in more PvE threats, but as soon as a player gets downed, they send up an emergency flare that can be seen across the entire map. At that point, everyone knows what's happening and all bets are off. The various maps we got to try out were also really well designed, and each one had several unique landmarks and elements that made them fun to explore and fight over. The maps were big, but not so massive to the point that you couldn't navigate it within the 20 to 30-minute window. Every map also has dynamic elements such as weather systems and time of day. Playing on a map like Buried City, where buildings are half covered by sand dunes, played extremely differently depending on if it was clear during the day, had roaring sandstorms in the evening, or was pitch black at night. Each variation requires different tactics, and we appreciated that about the game. I also have to call out the fantastic audio design. If you didn't know, this is the studio that released the finals, and they have quite a few developers who used to work at DICE for mainline Battlefield and Battlefront games. Needless to say, they really know how to handle environmental sound. Each map has some great soundscapes, but the directional audio still cuts through like a knife for both the players and the AI enemies. Gunfire, explosions, crashes, breaches, it's all clear, helping you navigate the world with as much auditory information as possible. One moment I do want to call out was when our team got jumped by a Bastion, a medium-sized arc that is incredibly lethal when aggroed. Bastions are heavily armored spider bots with a Gatling gun mounted in the front. Let me tell you, this thing easily wiped us out, and anyone curious and dumb enough to come investigate. Of course, you can take these out, but the bigger the enemy, the more you're going to be required to actually team up with those very players you're worried about killing you. As you might suspect, these more deadly threats all contain various internal parts that are incredibly valuable for crafting and researching back at Speranza. When in Speranza, you can work to build and upgrade your workshop with various stations, allowing you to craft progressively better gear, enabling you to tackle more challenging situations on the surface. You can bank this gear for later runs or risk it all for even better hauls. If you don't want to part with your gear, there are vendors that will sell you a whole host of gear as well as offer you some quests. As you manage to complete these and successfully extract, you'll earn XP to invest into 3 different skill trees. Conditioning focuses on your overall stamina, encumbrance, and ability to breach. Mobility allows you to climb and vault more quickly, while also increasing your overall speed and maneuverability. Finally, there's survival, all of which aids in making you more quick, efficient, and stealthy while looting and evading enemies. It's a great blend that doesn't feel like it impacts the actual skill of players too much, which would tip the scales in PvP. Outside of looting arcs and other players, each map is littered with all sorts of resources, and you can see directly on your map what the concentration of loot looks like in each building based on some color coding and labels. This doesn't mean you can't find rare items or pockets of loot elsewhere, but it does help entice groups of players towards similar locations, encouraging them to fight or team up. The looting is something you're either going to love because of your familiarity with games like Tarkov, or it's going to overwhelm you, like it did for me at the start. There are so many items to loot in this game, and almost every item can be salvaged into something else. With my limited inventory space and a general lack of knowledge when it comes to each item and their importance, it was challenging, under pressure to put all of the pieces together. That being said, quests do help you focus on what you truly need each run, and you can also track recipes for certain items you need for crafting. But if you don't come across those specific things, you're often just picking up loot, hoping it will be valuable later. In order to bring all of your items back to Speranza, you need to extract successfully. And let me tell you, this is when the action, like it does in most extraction games, can really ratchet up. Across the map, various exit points will become active or deactive over time, denoted by a very clear and audible countdown. You must extract before that timer is up or you'll lose everything, minus the few items you've stowed in special safe pockets. A nice little fail-safe feature we're glad they added. These hatches, whatever form they take, become major conflict points. Activating an elevator or a subway car is not an instant process, and when you do, everyone in the general area knows it's coming, arc machines included. When the doors open, you better believe your team and most likely others will be right there waiting to make the first move. It's chaotic and a fun experience to secure that lift for your team. Thankfully, there are also raider hatches scattered around each map, and if you find or bring a key with you, they provide a more low-key and immediate way for your team to extract. One of the coolest yet most frustrating moments in our preview session was when the Queen Harvester got activated on the Dam Battlegrounds map. This massive spider-like machine is the closest thing to instantaneous death that we experienced. It has high-powered laser beams, rockets that scorch the area and napalm, insanely armored, and they can call in their own lethal set of reinforcements. The developers told us that to bring these down, you absolutely need to work with other teams, and while we were initially laying into it with a legendary railgun, as a single squad, we barely managed to damage a single leg. Our timer was quickly running out, and we had to extract, so we opted to use a nearby hatch. But wouldn't you know it, a group of other creators were waiting right there and jumped us. This leads me to one of our biggest fears for our creators. If you can't get a relatively small group of creators to work together on an event that's coordinated, what are the odds that the general population will when the game releases? I think it's a real concern because to take these things down, you absolutely need top tier gear. But if you're going to be hunted instead of engaging in the really cool event, what's the point of even bringing in the good gear to begin with? As this happens more and more, you'll quickly burn through your stash of gear, and before you know it, you'll be running free loadouts just trying to recoup some of what you lost. We don't know if the team has really ironed out that level of risk versus reward because right now it feels like all risk, but based on what we played, the overall gameplay loop was incredibly satisfying. Arc Raiders has a lot of potential, and Embark Studios is no strangers to unique shooters. There are certainly some things to adjust and tweak moving forward, but the overall gameplay experience, the nuts and bolts of the thing, are solid. What's going to help this game long term is player feedback, receptive developers, and a community that keeps this game popular. Easier said than done, I know. But if you're interested in Arc Raiders and want to check out the game, the team is sponsoring a tech test 2 starting April 30th, and you can sign up now on their official website. Guys, we hope you enjoyed and found our first impressions of Arc Raiders helpful. Our plan is to dive in around launch time, so if you're interested in this game and you want more videos like this for new and upcoming titles in your feed, do me a solid, hit that thumbs up, and consider subscribing. My name is Kodiak, and from everyone here at Legacy Gaming, thanks for watching, and play on.